All right, if I could have your attention. We're going to call this meeting of the Human Relations and Aging Committee to order. First thing on the agenda will Representative Rogers, if you'll lead some prayer, please. Today we're going to be taking House Bill 290 off the table, and so if I could have a motion to do that, please. Have a move. Do I have a second? Have a second. Bill is off the table. We're going to allow Representative Dempsey to come back to the podium and go over the bill one more time. We're not going to take testimony from people in the audience today, although I am going to allow, if there is anyone in the audience that is in opposition to the bill, to speak, since we had no one the other day, since the crowd was not very large last Monday. So Representative Dempsey, if you'll come forward.
Appreciate the opportunity to come back and share this with you again today. Let's all make sure that we have the right document in front of us. First of all, it is LC 3623221S. I think that the best thing I could say to y'all is this is exactly the bill that was passed out of committee last year. The copies have already been signed from last year. It came through the committee process. Y'all fully vetted it. They are both signed from last year. Number 2 rests in the clerk's office for another signature. 1 is here today. Just to remind you, this takes us back to taking a look at those somewhat unique situations, truly, where because of a need within your family as an employee, you need to use your sick leave to take care of that family member. It is tightly defined within Section 1 that you have in front of you. The definitions are there of employee, employer, immediate family member, sick leave. It also states very clearly that this is if you have a sick leave policy. It is in no way a mandate to make you establish a sick leave policy, to extend it, or to change it in any way. It also has tight qualifiers for that employee to be an employee in good standing who is not just walking in the door and immediately asking for that special privilege. I cannot imagine what it would be like to work somewhere where that can't happen. We all have that here. We have that freedom and that leeway. Many of our largest corporations in Georgia do. And this is an opportunity for all of us to extend a heartfelt measure that in no way pushes down a burden, but allows an opportunity for honesty and transparency between employee and employer. Thank you.
Any questions for Chairman Dempsey? Number 11.
Madam Chairman, right here.
Sorry.
Your seatmate, you know?
Yeah.
One quick question. There is, as I understand this, let's say that a company has a sick leave policy,
Right.
and they're unhappy. If this was to pass, they're unhappy. There's nothing that precludes them from changing their sick leave policy. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay,
That's
thank
right. I know one of the pushback issues has been stated that, well, companies will just get rid of their sick leave policy. Well, that is for them to live with. If they wish to have a company that has no policy and that becomes just a conversation between employee and employer, that's allowable. This does not preclude that.
Number 10.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hello, Madam Chair. Hey, everyone in the audience. So you and I have talked about this bill, and I've talked with a lot of people in the audience, and just going to have my final say on this. I appreciate the bill. I appreciate the spirit in which the bill is written. For so many families in the state of Georgia, I think it shows to be in some way discriminatory that if you don't fall under these specific guidelines of a child, a spouse, and a parent, it leaves so many people out. And I understand that we pass bills here quite often with the hope that we will come back and take a look at them and that we will make necessary changes throughout the remainder of the process. So I just want to once again go on record and say that for non-traditional families, people who are caring for non-blood relatives and non-adoptive children, for the 300,000 LGBT families in the state of Georgia, for my own family, my partner, and my nephews, this does not help us. However, I will not stand in the way of this piece of legislation. I would hate to be a person who takes away rights from other people while I fight for my own. I wish that the state would take the same consideration as they create the bills for people who live like me and my family, but you will have my affirmative vote today.
Well, and I thank you for that, and I appreciate your concerns. I think they're very valid, and we are already working on language to try to travel with the bill. If we are so fortunate to get it out of the House, out of this committee first and out of the House, then we will continue to work on that, because families are very confusing today, I would say, and I don't mean that in a negative way at all. Often a person lands there within your home because they need a place, and there may be no blood relation at all. But if there is a need for someone to help take care of them, then I certainly think we should see if we can find a way for that too.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. And I would ask for your favorable support. Thank you so much for all that you have all listened to.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak against the bill? In that case, Chair will entertain a motion. I have a motion that we pass the bill. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Are there any other comments from the members of the committee? All right.
Okay, Representative Sandra Scott, I would just also like to go on record in support of what Representative Bell have stated, because I was talking to someone today in regards to this bill about my nephew living with me, and I just want us to think about it again when we're making legislation, that we look at all aspects of life, what all could be considered a family. And because when I think about my mother and my father have already passed, and my sister, she doesn't live here in Georgia, so if something happened to my nephew, then I will be the one that have to take care of him. And so I just want us to think about that when we're making legislation, to look at the whole, because it's not always that a person have a mother or father or a sister or brother. They may live with someone that is outside of that family, what we quote call a family, a real family, meaning a mother, a spouse, or someone like that. So we need to take all of it into consideration. But you do have my support on the bill.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? In that case, I'll call for a vote. 17. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, sometimes in the committee meeting you have to say something and your heart's pounding, and this is one of those. And Saturday when I was at one of my small business people with about 25 employees, it's really one of the growing businesses in my community. On this committee, I knew about it, and I asked him, "What do you think?" And he looked at me dumbfoundedly and said, "So you guys are going to sit up here and do another imposition from the state on small businesses. And I had to look at him, and well, that's the idea. And we had a nice long, probably 30-minute conversation about that. And yeah, that was difficult. And I think when you really start looking at this bill, it is kind, it is nice, it's the right maybe thing to do, but is it an imposition on small businesses? And just wanted to put that out there for thought. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. No other comments from members of the committee. I'm going to call for a vote. Since we have quite a few people here, I would like for those, however you vote, to raise your right hand so that count can be taken. And I don't know if you'll count for us. All those that are in favor of the motion that House Bill 290 do pass this committee, if you would raise your right hand. All those that are in opposition, like sign. Motion passes 5-3. Bill moves on to the Rules Committee. Congratulations, Chairman Dempsey. This meeting is adjourned.